Energy going up, energy going up.
3, 2, 1.
Hello, welcome to the World Healing Tour podcast, where our mission is to help you heal yourself so you can heal the world. Hi, my name is Noah Crane. Each week, we will bring you tips and tools and empower you to live your most uplifting and joyful life. I'm also the founder of the 3G Effect, a daily practice to keep you heart-centered in everything you do with a positive attitude and a positive mindset by taking three important elements. Element number one, every day, remember to have a grateful heart and connect to your gratitude. When you're connected to your gratitude, you're connected to positive feelings and positive emotions, and therefore drawing more positive things, people, and experiences into your life. Element number two, every day, remember to ground in love and compassion. When I say grounded, I mean to learn to believe in yourself, to love yourself, to really stand up for yourself. When you're grounded in love and compassion, you're able to remove the judgments of yourself as well as judgments of others, learning to be in a place of acceptance, a place of self-love, and a place of forgiveness. And element number three, every day, remember that you're not alone on this journey, but rather you are guided by God. God, universe, source, whatever you want to call your higher power. I call it God. God is inside you. God is beside you. God is all around you. Open your heart and soul to God. Have faith and trust in yourself and faith and trust in your journey. You do that by learning to turn off the noise of others and the noise of the outside world, by learning to be a good listener. God will send you messages and messengers just for you to help guide you on this journey. I know, because my whole life has been guided by these messengers. I've been able to find my soulmate, who I've been married to for over 27 years. I've been able to write my book that's back here, The Grass is Greenest Where I Am. I've been able to connect to incredible people and create an incredible life for myself. And it's all been a guided journey. It's all been through the listening. And that's why I created the World Healing Tour, because we are here to help each other heal. When we heal ourselves, we're able to heal the world and really create that ripple effect, right, that we want for others. And that's why I bring every week incredible people to pour into your life so you can be more empowered to live your passion and purpose every day, because that's why we're here. My guest today is Nicole Harvick. She's known as the forgiveness expert and quantum energy healer. Her mission in life is to identify and release all traumas that are stuck inside a person's body, which can cause them sickness and emotional pain. Nicole, welcome to the World Healing Tour podcast. It's so happy to
Uh,
have you here with me.
well, thank you so much for this beautiful invitation. And I am so excited to be on this because my whole journey it now is helping others heal themselves, because it was so important for me to do it to myself. And with what I've been through, I have suffered through emotional pain, and I don't want anyone to have to go through that, Noah.
Yeah, and isn't that part of our growth too? Sometimes we have to go through some of that emotional stuff because that's where the your growth probably came as well, right?
It did. And oftentimes we don't see it until we're out of it. So we do have to look back on it. And had I not gone through everything I did with a divorce, with cheating, with being sick because I didn't know how to release my trauma, I learned how to do that and have now become a person that can help others. But yes, you do have to go through, I feel you have to go through all that, or at least I did, to become the person I am today, to be able to have empathy for others with that, and to be able to help them understand that they too can get rid of that trauma.
Mhm. So thank you for having your trauma, Nicole, because now you can help so many people in the world, and that makes such a difference, you know? So it wasn't in vain, right? You actually went through stuff to be able to make a difference for others. And I always say, whatever doesn't kill you makes you stronger. And you look like a beautiful, strong woman standing in front
Oh,
of me.
I would have never, if you would have told me 10 years ago, I would be doing podcasts, I would be speaking, and I would be helping others.
Mm.
I would have never believed you because at that point in my life, I was going through so much trauma, pain, embarrassment of a divorce and a cheating husband.
Well, let's talk
And
about that. I want, you know, to hear about that, the trauma you went through, about the divorce, about the cheating husband. I think that would be great for the listeners to kind of get a picture of what you went through and how you came through that.
absolutely. And it's so funny because I used to be so embarrassed by it. I used to be shamed and I used to just feel very unworthy because it happened to me. And so I had to do a lot of healing just to get to a place where I knew it wasn't my fault. So that was really my first step, is to take a look at what happened and how it happened. And it happened in the worst of ways because I'd always had suspicions that he was cheating, or at least seeing other women, whatever it
Mm.
was, but I never had any solid proof. I never had anything tangible. And so this was in 2013. And my youngest daughter, she was in sixth grade, and she was visiting her grandparents in California, which were her dad's mom and dad. And I got a call like 10 o'clock in the morning. And I mean, that's what an impact it made on me, Noah, as I remember the time that phone rang. And she says to me, and she's whispering, she says, Mom, she says, I think dad has a girlfriend. And I said, Oh, babe, what do why do you say that? She goes, Well, I'm getting a lot of pictures and a lot of videos and a lot of texts on my phone.
That
I
gives me
said,
the
What are
chills. That gives me the chills. Wow.
it, I didn't even know what to think at that moment because I thought, how can this be? Well, come to find out, her iPad Touch was synced with her dad's cell phone. And for some reason, all of these messages went to her. And Noah, the most ironic part is after I got over the shock and went on, I checked his cell phone number because I had his password. He had thousands and thousands of texts and calls because, from where he worked and what he did. The only ones that came through were the ones I needed to see. It was really strange. It was just messages from this lady that he had been seeing, pictures, videos, and unfortunately my daughter had to be the one to find them and tell me about it. But my first thought was I told her that day, I said, don't tell your grandparents. Don't tell your grandparents anything. Just send me everything you can, which she did. And at that point, there was absolutely no denying that he had been unfaithful. He had been cheating. It was absolutely devastating. And for me to see it was one thing, but for my 10-year-old daughter to see it was another.
And 10-year-old is so young to be able to, you know, be like, oh my God, my dad's not faithful to my mom. Like to get that realization at 10, she probably needed
10,
to work through that as well.
we did have to work through a lot. We had to work through a lot with both my girls because my older daughter was 18 at the time, so she was a senior in high school. So she understood it a little better, but neither one were accepting of that. And I remember telling my ex, I said, you need to take those girls separately. You need to admit what you did, tell them what you did, and you need to apologize to them. And it was only several years after I'd been divorced that my daughter told me, she says, she says, he didn't apologize. He didn't tell me he was cheating. The only thing he told me was that he didn't get enough attention from you.
Well, talk about not taking 100% responsibility, right? For what
Taking
you've done. Yeah, and
no responsibility.
yeah, and
Yeah.
so once you realized that that happened, where did you go from there? And how did you know, just to go back a little bit, how did you have the intuition that something, because you always had that knowing inside of you, right?
I knew, I've known it was just something that told me something's off.
Hmm.
Something's really, really off. And he would tell me these stories. And bear in mind, he's a narcissist.
Hmm.
And I don't say that lightly or to put him down. And it's only in the last couple of years that I found this out. But I can remember one time going into his office and there was a Christmas card there. And it said, it was from a lady and it said love on it. Like, I can't even, Love Mona was her name. And I said, who is this from? Oh, it's just the lady that keeps my books. It's like, ladies that just keep your books don't put love. They put fondly or Merry Christmas or whatever. So I've always like just known that that's who he was. And I knew in my heart that he was doing it to me, but I could never find anything tangible. And it was almost as if the universe had had enough. And when I found this, it was like pushing me to my knees. It I couldn't, I knew it, but then when you find out, you're like, your heart hurts, you're devastated, you're embarrassed. There's such a gamut of emotions that runs through a woman, I think, when they find this out. And it's just like, it's, to me, it's the worst thing that a woman can go through.
Absolutely, because it's like it's the whole foundation of your marriage, right? The whole trust, the whole foundation of this thing that stood up on this foundation, the relationship just crumbles because the trust is gone, and you can't trust the person you with, and that has to be just a horrible, horrible place to be.
Yeah, it truly makes you sick to your stomach because you just sit there and you can't believe it. And you know, my my 10-year-old, she says, Mom, she knew her name because she saw the text. She goes, I found her. She goes, I found her on Facebook. I'm like, you're kidding, you know. So there's my 10-year-old, you know, sleuthing for me, finding her. She goes, Mom, she goes, she has kids. That was like my daughter's thought is, you know, you have kids, why would you do this? And so that kind of started that journey of okay, now what do I do? I mean, I can't deny this. This has happened. This is now my life. What do I do? And for a while I thought I wanted to make it work. And then it was just so sickening and too much that I thought, I can't, I have two daughters. They're watching me. I can't stay in this marriage because that's going to show them that their mother put up with someone that lied and cheated and treated them like that. And that is not a good example for two girls to have. So I knew I had to get out of that marriage.
That's amazing that you wanted to show an example for your kids, that you were thinking of them before you even thought of anything. Is like, how am I going to show these girls? How am I going to stand up for myself so these girls don't settle in their lives for somebody who treats them that kind of way?
Exactly. I mean, you know, and whether we like it or not, our kids are always watching us. They might not say anything,
Oh.
but it's they watch what you do, they listen to what you say, and they either emulate you or they don't. And in this case, I wanted them to know that I deserved more than that. I wanted them to know that if that ever happens to them, they deserve more than that. And so that's when I decided, no, this is not a good thing. This is I have to end this now.
No, I think that that's incredible. And I think that you girls, I'm sure, have so much learned from your own actions because we have to, in that kind of situation, we have to be that example for them. And like you said, like kids are like sponges. Like I feel like anything that I do, anything that I don't like about my kids, I have to look at myself because they're just like an exact mirror of who we are and what we do at all times, you know?
That's a hard reality sometimes, but it's so true,
Mhm.
Noah. They see, hear, and absorb everything that we do. And you know, I've tried all of my life to be a good example. I knew when I had kids, I wanted them to know right from wrong. I wanted them to have self-esteem because oftentimes I didn't when I was their age or younger. And so I've always been really
Conscious?
telling them about kindness, be kind and be a good person. And what would I be doing if the worst thing that happens to me, I stay there and accept that? That was not something I could do.
Okay, so yeah, I think that's amazing. And once you figured out that you weren't going to stay in the marriage, did you file for divorce? So what was the next step after that?
You
Because I'm sure
know,
you were
this
angry, upset still. How did you deal with all those emotions?
Well, I was not only angry, I was becoming sick because I was internalizing everything. And at first, I blamed myself. I thought, what could I have done different? What did I do? Why wasn't I good enough? Why did he pick her? And there were just so many things that I took the blame for. And he kind of shifted that, well, you never spent time with me. You never did this. You never did that. And I absorbed that. And then I thought, now wait a minute, that's so not fair what he's doing to me. So I started getting really, really sick, and I started losing my hair, and I started scratching my skin until I bled. And I thought, I need help. I really, really need help. And the interesting thing is that during this time, we had found out that my mother had stage 4 breast cancer. And so I was dealing with that as well. And one of the things that was just the biggest epiphany for me is she was at my house, and she died January 3rd. And I'm going to say this was probably December 27th or 28th. So it was just a few days before she passed away. And there were two things that she said to me that just, I had no idea that, she and my dad had divorced probably 20 years prior. And she always told me, I forgave him. I've forgiven him. It doesn't matter to me. I've let that go. I've released it. And I'm sitting there with her, and I'm holding her hand. And she looked at me, and she said, one of the things she says was, they threw rocks at me. And I was like, who threw rocks at you? She goes, the kids. I said, well, when? She goes, I was in third grade. So she's telling me that right before she's ready to pass away. The next thing she looked at me and said is, she said, he slept with all my friends. And she was referring to my dad. So she had never forgiven him, never, never, never. And what had happened, and I truly believe this, is when you carry around anger and rage and hurt and pain and resentment in your body, whatever you're carrying around eventually has to show up on the outside, whether it's good or bad. In my mother's case, it was very bad, and she ended up with the breast cancer. And the epiphany for me was, is she carried that around for over 20 years, and now she's dying. And I thought, no man, I will not let any man do that to me. And that's when I really threw myself into a healing journey. And I can tell you that regardless of the pain, I thought, I'm gonna find this pain, I'm gonna figure this out, and I'm gonna get well, and I'm gonna stay well, and I'm gonna be an example for my daughters.
Mm.
So that's really when all that happened, was, when my mom, 3 days from passing away, looks at me and tells me that. And I thought, oh, this is not going to happen to me. I will
Wow.
not let this happen to me.
It's amazing to me that your mom was there giving you a message almost, like don't do what I did, um, and not
Exactly.
even realizing that she was like she told you something so important right before she passed. Like she literally handed you handed you like a manual script, almost like, just it's amazing. Like she just literally handed it over to you and said, do something different with it, like don't get stuck. And you just, in that, when you were telling me that, I literally saw like those kids throwing rocks at her, and literally saw like the pain that she has been through, which has been so traumatic. And it's also, things can pass on from generation to generation. Trauma gets passed on. Do you believe that as well?
It's absolutely true.
Mm.
Many, many, many generations can come down through the lines. And it's so interesting because I thought that too. I thought, I believe in reincarnation, and I believe that when we come back, we script our life. We script what's going to happen. So, did my mom script that to save me? I think about that a lot, and I don't really know if she understood in that moment what she was telling me, but you're absolutely right. She was saying, don't let this happen to you. And I listened. For the first time in my life, I really listened to my mother.
I love
And
that.
uh,
Moms always know. So, at that time when your mom told you those things, right? Did
mhm,
she did she know that you were going through the whole thing that you were going through with your husband? Did she know that
she
he was
didn't.
cheating?
I was too embarrassed to tell her. I was
Wow.
too embarrassed to tell her.
So she,
And
oh.
and I just kept quiet about it. And keeping quiet, you just let it eat at your soul. It nibbles your soul away.
So your mother didn't even know what was ahead for you. She didn't know about all the trauma, all the pain that you're going through because she's transitioning and going through her own thing, and you were just there to be the supportive, loving daughter that you always were for her.
Exactly. Exactly. Which makes it even more, in my mind, a miracle that here I am going through what she went through. And I'm sick at this point, but I'm keeping it from her. That's not something I wanted to burden her with. But she knew in those last breaths of hers to tell me, that. And I'd known there was cheating. She had told me prior, but the way she told me 3 days from when she died. And so what I knew to be true was those were her last thoughts that she was taking with her on her journey of death.
Wow, amazing, amazing insights and amazing, just journey to wake up to all that, to get more conscious about our own lives because we all have challenges and we all here to grow through our challenges. And you definitely wanted to grow through yours and you weren't giving up on you or on your daughters or on your family, which makes the story so much more empowering and powerful, is how you took it. And so I want to ask you, what was the journey to forgiveness? Because I know that was the journey of healing for you.
And that's such an interesting story for me because when I decided I was going to heal myself, I started going, I learned I learned sound healing, I learned cellular memory retrieval. I became a Reiki master. I mean, I did everything that I thought I could do to heal myself. And I would use it to do that. I mean, you would laugh at the certificates I have. I mean, it would cover a wall. But I'm like, I'm still don't feel good. There's still something in here. I can't get rid of this. And during that time, my daughters and I, with my family, we took a trip to the Big Island of Hawaii. And I have spirit guides. You talked when you opened, you talked about the guides that are always with you, coming around to give you messages. And I have those too. And when before I go on a trip, or sometimes just every day, okay, what do you guys want from me today? But I asked my guides, I said, what do you need me to do when I get there? I just had a feeling there was something going on. And the only thing I heard was feed the stray. So
Say it
I'm
one
like,
more time.
okay,
What did they say?
feed the stray,
Feed the stray. Okay.
feed the stray. Well, I took that to mean a dog. So we went over to the Big Island of Hawaii, and I would carry food around or treats around, and and we were there 10 days. And I'd be looking, I'm like, man, nothing feels right. Nothing seems correct. What is going on? I see all these dogs, and I'm like, this isn't right. This isn't right. So one day we decide to take a half a day hike to the volcano, to the Kilauea volcano, and it was active at the time. So I had food, I had water, I had everything for our trek. And as I'm crossing a ravine, there's these Hawaii still is sometimes so ancient. So I'm crossing a ravine and I look down and it's like there's these slats so I can see down below and there's ropes. I'm like, oh man, if I get across this. But I heard my guides tell me make an offering to the island. And so I had like half a sandwich in there and I threw it into the ravine. And as we were walking a little more, there's so much foliage on the well, all of them have foliage, but there was this foliage and I saw it kind of moving and I heard something and I kind of peeked back there and there was this little tiny bird and it had a hobbled foot. And it was the strangest bird I've ever seen. I remember it distinctly and have pictures of it, but it had red eyes. Well, it was starving. So my daughter bent down and the bird hopped up and it literally ate out of her hand. We had, the sandwich, it was eating out of her hand. And I heard, that's your stray. So the bird, all along, the bird was the stray. And they had asked me to make an offering to the island, which I did. And they asked me to feed the stray, which I did. And so I knew that's what it was. We stayed a few more days and I didn't think anything about it. I had no idea what was coming next. But when we got back to the mainland, and I'm going to say probably after a month, I started hearing, reading, and seeing this word everywhere. And it was ho'oponopono, which is an ancient Hawaiian
Yes.
forgiveness practice. And I had never seen that word before. And I knew I needed help because everything I was trying was working and it was better, but I'm like, you're not at optimum health right now. You're still kind of sick. And so I when I see things like that, I know I'm supposed to see it. So I take it really seriously. And I started studying, I started reading about it, I started looking into it. How do I do this? What do I do? How do I use it? And my first thought was, this can't be any good because it's free. Because I just spent tons of money with getting my certificates and going to psychologists and trying to figure out what do I do with myself. And so I heard my guides tell me one night, just try it. Just say those words. Just say those words. So I started saying those words before I would go to bed.
Can
And
you tell us really fast what the Ho'oponopono prayer is and tell us what the words are?
I love you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me and thank you.
One more time.
I love you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me and thank you.
Love that. Okay, good.
And they're for you. They're for you to love yourself, to forgive yourself. You're sorry for what you're doing to yourself. Please forgive me. And it was for me.
Mhm.
And I didn't think anything about it. But after about, I'm going to say 2 weeks, I started just feeling lighter and better. And this sounds strange, but I felt like a smile had come back to my heart. I felt like a little bit like that old person I knew a couple years before. And then I thought, oh my gosh, whatever this is amazing. And I started doing it when I'd wake up in the morning. You're kind of in that subconscious. I started doing it then. I started doing it at night. And what I was missing the whole time was forgiveness.
Mm.
That
That's
was the key.
that's such a powerful prayer, first of all. And I love that prayer. And tell us how you realized that that was the key that was missing in your life because of the smile your heart has, or did things start changing in your life? Did more joy come into your life once you started saying the prayer on a regular basis? And how many times a day did you say that prayer?
I said that thing like a mantra every single day. Anytime I'd think about it, I would say it. But then what I started doing is I started using visualization with it. I read about visualization. And what I would do is I'd sit myself like in a movie theater and there would be a stage in front of me and I would let the curtains part very slowly and I would see my ex-husband there and I just would say it over and over to him as well because I wasn't condoning what he did, but I had to release him from my heart. I had to let him go. I had to release him. And it was so beautiful because I realized I wasn't letting him get away with anything. But what I was doing was releasing the burden he had placed on me of anger, of hate, of rage, every negative emotion that cheating had caused, I was releasing it. And I wasn't even sending it back to him. I was transmuting it into the universe. Because one thing we have to remember when we release something and you send it to another person, that's what you're going to get back. And I didn't want any more of that back. I wanted that gone and I wanted that transmuted. So between just saying it every day, visualizing it, and I still do it. I mean, this is years ago and I still use this. Just there's there are some words that are so highly vibrational that when you say them, you're rising your vibration, you're using it to raise your frequency. And that's what I wanted to do, is I wanted to raise my vibration through forgiveness. And that's what I started doing. And when that vibration started rising, I started thinking about certain things. And I thought, I love my kids, obviously. I love my parents. I love my dog. But I've never really thought about loving myself. Why don't I love myself? And it's like it was something that I never thought of. And with forgiveness and forgiving yourself for the burdens you carry, or for the things that you've done that didn't maybe go as well as you'd planned, or you look back and think, man, I should have gone a different direction. What I realized I never did anything with ill intent. There was never like meanness in it. It was just making a decision at that time with the only information that I had. And so I became a little kinder to myself, and a little more yielding in the terms of, you didn't, not everything turned out correctly, but you did what you thought was best at the time. So that made me feel good about myself. That made me realize that, I'm not that bad of a person. Maybe, I'm okay. And then I started doing mirror work, and I looked myself in the eyes, and I told myself, I love you, Nicole. I love you. And told myself I was a good person. So all of that came out of forgiveness. I mean, it's just like, oh my gosh. And so I thought, you know, it dawned on me, everything has to start with forgiveness. That's your key to begin with. If you start with forgiveness, everything else falls into place.
I love that so much because, when we spoke, I told you, like, I literally go through my whole day and I forgive myself all day long because I always know, like, even if I said the wrong thing or I did the wrong thing or you know, I just forgive myself because there's, when it just gives me that freedom, right? It gives you that freedom of not beating yourself up and a freedom of letting go, right? And I just think it's just, we have to keep letting go because if we don't let go, we get stuck. And that's where the pain and suffering, and that's where the sickness is, and all those things that you don't want in your life.
Absolutely. And we just it taught me to be kinder to myself.
Mm-hmm.
I thought about it, and I thought, why are you being so hard on yourself? Did I do things that didn't turn out right? Yes. Did I do things out of meanness? I never did that. Even with my girls, may I should have done this or I should have done that. But we can't be hard on ourselves because, when you're a mom, you're still learning too. I'm still learning to this day, and my kids are 21 and 29. And it just was so refreshing to be able to see myself differently. And the most amazing thing is, I have a picture of myself from about 10 years ago when my journey started. And I put a side by side picture of me now. I don't even recognize that girl. I kid you not. Forgiveness changes you. It changes your physical features. It changes the way you walk, the way you talk. It changes the way you breathe. It's the most miraculous thing I can think of to help anybody that is going through something like I did.
Changes your DNA, right?
Changes your D it
It
absolutely
changes
does.
your
It
DNA.
changes your DNA, it changes your brain waves, it changes your pattern, it changes your thinking, it changes your speaking. It's like this miracle,
Mm.
and it's really not even tangible, but I came to learn. I always tried to figure out, how does forgiveness fit into my healing. And I was given the message that they have to start with forgiveness and then head into that deep healing. So it's a process. And then once you start the healing, then you can start raising your vibration. And once you raise your vibration, you can step into a beautiful fifth dimensional existence where you get to take the ego off, and you get to start thinking with your heart. And your heart's your true center, your heart is your love center. And it's just, there's no reason. I was told many years ago, there's two of us. We have the brain and the body connection, but we have the soul and the mind connection. And that's because we're a planet of duality. And so I started using my mind more and my heart more because it was free of the hate and anger. And it has just created some amazing things for me, some amazing messages, amazing realities, amazing people that are coming into my life, amazing opportunities. And truly my mission is to let people know that you can heal yourself. It is absolutely possible. I mean, when you think about just cutting your finger, it heals.
Mhm.
When you break a bone, it heals. When you use your mind and the power of your heart, you can heal things. You can heal yourself. And I sit here and tell you, I know that because I've done it.
Yeah, and I love when you said start with forgiveness for healing. I think that's such a powerful statement
Mhm.
because, like you said, forgiveness is so, so powerful as far as the healing journey goes. And, like, you know, what you were saying, like, I had all these certificates, all these things, all these healing modalities I did, but the forgiveness is what gave you the freedom. And it's because your forgiveness was not something you had to pay for. It was something that was inside of you, something that you had to go within yourself, right? Because the real important things in life are free. They're things that are within us: acceptance, forgiveness, letting go, right? Believing in ourselves. They're within us. And so it's those priceless tools, you know, because when we able to find that within ourselves, we're able to bring it out and have a different reality in our lives.
Oh, absolutely. And I always tell people and I tell this my daughter, she cracks me up, Mom, what do I do with my life? And I said, everything's inside of you. Go inside of you and look. What do you feel? What do you hear? What's going on in there? I said, we came with all the knowledge that we need, but don't look outside of yourself. Look in yourself because every important aspect of your life is going to be found inside of you. Just waiting patiently.
So have you taught your girls the Ho'oponopono prayer?
Oh yes. Yeah. It's so funny because I read cards. I'm very intuitive. I get messages, and my girls used to laugh at me a lot. And then they tell me, Mom, I've got friends coming over. Don't do that thing you do. I'm like, okay, whatever. And now they're like, okay, what can we do for this, or what should I do for that? And they know the Ho'oponopono prayer. They have me read cards for them, and they're a lot more accepting of me now that they're older. I'm not that weird mom that embarrasses them anymore.
Yeah, it's amazing how those things just change as they grow up, right? They start seeing those things that they didn't like as something that they really appreciate because, you know, you've always been there for them, and your tools have really helped them become the women that they are today. So it's beautiful that everything just kind of comes full circle at the end.
Isn't that crazy? It absolutely does. I don't just love them. I like my girls. I really like them. They're fun. They're funny. They've never really been much trouble. We've had our moments and everything, but they're really good-hearted individuals, and that makes me real happy because if we can't be good to ourselves and to others, what is this journey about? Even if it's something as simple as opening a door for someone, kindness is free.
Absolutely. I was just in this restaurant and this woman was like getting angry and walked out and threw all her negative energy. And I literally felt her negative energy just like, shoop, like on all of us, you know? And it was
Like,
like, whoa, like one person can make a difference for everyone in a positive way, and one person can make a difference for everyone in a negative way, you know? And it just makes you realize how important our energy is. And like, I constantly keep thinking like, how can I be kinder? How can I be, you know, happier? How can I give more to others? How can I be more a light? Because, you know, when you're in light, when you're in joy, when you're happy, it just brings that beautiful energy to everyone around you. And it lets you live in a place, like you said, in a high vibrational place where you're actually attracting things that you want into your life.
oh, and it's so important because I know we're a lot alike in terms of you can actually almost feel that tangible energy coming off someone if it's negative. It's so dense and thick. And so when it's what I found by raising my vibration is we don't resonate anymore with a lot of those negative people. I know we're going to come in contact with them, but I tend to just expand my field, my etheric field around me, because I don't want it. I don't want their stuff in my field. And I've noticed that in getting rid of ego, I'm not saying that I don't get mad or things sometimes don't bug me, but for the most part, I set it aside and just work with my heart. And what I've noticed is the people that are coming into my life are like kind. You know, when someone's a little bit lower vibrational, they don't even see you. They don't resonate with you. They don't even feel you near them. I mean, I've walked by people, around my neighborhood or even on the beach, and it's like I'm just invisible.
That's amazing. That's a really great insight to be able to realize that, right? That
Mhm.
so let's talk, Nicole, about more about forgiveness and how can people start doing the healing work, the forgiveness work? Can you give them some tools that some steps, to start healing and forgiving and letting go? Because I feel like you've done so much incredible inner work on yourself and your light is shining so bright. And I love everything that you said about the Ho'oponopono prayer, about being able to visualize your husband standing there, the curtains open and he's there and you're forgiving him. And, I love all the tools that you've used. And how can we start? How do you help others that need that forgiveness in their lives? Because I know it's not easy.
It's not, and I have found it to be really interesting because many women resist forgiveness because they've got so much anger or animosity towards a husband that has been mean, narcissistic, or cheated, that they feel that they don't deserve it. And I have to shift that mindset to, it's not about them, it's about you. And they'll say things like, well, I deserve an apology. And you probably do. You're probably right about that. That would be ideal. But if someone doesn't care enough about you that they've hurt you in the first place, you're going to wait a very long time for an apology. And I kind of remind them that's not good for them. Don't wait for that. Let's work on you right now. And it can be very, very simple things. And one of the things I tell people to do is to bring awareness to your heart. Just put your hands on it. And that ho'oponopono, I love you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. And thank you. And just say it over and over and over. And I've actually had people come to tears because of it. Maybe after the fifth, sixth, seventh time, it's almost like it was made to be instant for our heart to release. And if someone was like me, I talk about how I spent years and years and years of just compounding armor on it, you know, and I decided it's time to pull this off. I need to get this out of my field, off my heart. And so that's what I started doing. And meditation has been so beneficial for me. And I know it's hard for a lot of people because we have monkey mind where we just chatter all the time, but you have to start somewhere. And even if you just pull up something on YouTube for a few minutes, they have like 5 and 10 minute meditation videos. And I teach them about their breathing techniques because if you can control your breathing, you can pretty much control anything. That can get you back to sleep, that can calm you down, that gets you out of fight or flight. So those are really simple things that you don't need anyone to help you with. Really, you can do that by yourself. And then I utilize tapping a lot. And it's just on our energy centers, and it's something so simple that we can do at any time. And right here under our collarbone, that calms us down too. So the emotional freedom technique of tapping will calm you down. And these things are free. These are things that, not that I don't think that money wasn't well spent, because I have a lot of tools in my tool belt. But if you're someone that just needs it immediately, those are some go-to things that you can do yourself for free in your home, in your bed, on your couch, wherever you need to be. And one of the most important things too is because we're electrical beings, you need to be in nature. nature is like imperative for you. We talked about this yesterday. Noah, hug a tree. We used to make fun of those people. No more. We know that like you said, trees talk to one another. They give off energy. Stand in the grass. If you see a dog will be rolling around in the grass. I looked at my daughter one day and I said, I'm going to try this. And I did, and it felt wonderful. But I don't let everybody see that. So I try to be normal and just walk in grass. But those are just a few of the things that you can do for yourself that are free and extremely easy.
Yeah, and I agree about nature and all the things that you said. They're all, things, it's just to learn to pause, right? To learn to
Oh,
pause is just so important because when we're caught up in those emotions, we're not thinking straight, we're acting out of emotions, we're not doing the right things. It spirals, it can spiral so fast out of control. And the thing you want to do is you want to stop that spiral. You want to, find that time to just fill your own cup, right? Because I feel like when we do these things, we're filling our cup so we can start, actually nurturing ourselves and coming from a different space when we are, communicating with others.
oh, that's beautiful. And that's so true. Everything I'm talking about comes back to self-love and filling your cup. You have to worry about yourself first. And a lot of women think that's very, very selfish. And I always tell them it really isn't. As the nurturers, as the mothers of the
Mhm.
planet, we have to be full to give. We can't be sucked dry. We have to really replenish a lot. And if that's something just as simple as a walk, as a bath, anything like that, but you have to like do it for you. You are that important. You need it. You need to realize that you can do for yourself and then do for others.
Absolutely. And I think so many of us, as moms, we neglect ourselves. To me, it's always the self care thing has been like my mental health. Like, if I didn't do my self care, if I didn't go to the gym to work out, or I didn't do something for myself that day, it would definitely change my energy. So I think every day, like, just do something for you.
And it doesn't have to be hard. It can be very simple. If you like to read a book.
Mhm.
If I don't suggest TV, I really am not a TV fan, but there's just some things that go get a pedicure, go get a manicure, go get a massage. That really makes me happy. So just know that you have worth, you're very worthy, and you are deserving of taking care of yourself. And when you start doing that, it's like a beautiful thing. When you start doing that, you feel better about yourself. When you feel better about yourself, you start loving yourself and doing it more. So it all works together in
And
in
then,
this beautiful synchronicity of the universe.
yeah, I was going to say, you start loving yourself. And when you love yourself, you can love others more. Like, it's all like everything's connected.
And it's so interesting because I feel like sometimes I love on a different level. I Some people, like, I adore my girls, I love them, but I also love them as a soul. And the only way I know how to explain that is it's so deep and resonates so deeply
Mm-hmm.
within my heart and soul that I just look at them and it's like, and I know when I'm feeling that way, I'm sending them that energy, which is I think that's really, really important. And I was given a great message the other day, and I do that when I go into meditation. And what I was told is that we're kind of coming to an end time in terms of, the earth is rising in its vibration. Many of us are going with it. And one of the things that I was told was to keep an abundance of love in my heart, like over, fill it up, let it. And they said, and share it, share it. You can always refill it. All you have to do is think about positive things, think about how happy you are, think of joy, and that fills your heart back up. And when someone comes into your field, you can pull it in a little bit and share it with them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's
So
good
I
to,
thought that
I love that. It's great to have a full cup to give from.
absolutely,
So
absolutely. And love is important. Love vibrates at 500. So we need to keep that really full.
100%. I've always noticed that I need my cup full. So thank you for bringing that into the conversation. Nicole, I wanted to talk to you about gratitude. How has gratitude helped you heal from everything you through? How do you use gratitude in your life to fill your cup?
Gratitude for me is a must. And it's so interesting because it wasn't something that I thought about 10 years ago, during a divorce or during when I found out. And I don't think I might have had a pity party for a day, but then I started looking around and even back then. But now, Noah, I think to myself, I wish everyone could wake up like me because it's just a joy to take my first breath in the morning because I know waking up in gratitude, I'm happy for my house. I'm happy that I live by the ocean. I mean, little things. I'm happy for my tea in the morning. And it doesn't have to be a huge miraculous thing. Gratitude could be very small. It's the most beautiful thing to wake up like that and know that your day is going to go well because you've woke up in gratitude. And I'm very grateful for my health, for getting past all these problems, for having my two daughters. I'm grateful for everything. I have great neighbors. So gratitude is extremely important on this journey. And that's just one of the things that plays in to you circling back to loving yourself is being in gratitude.
Yes, I use gratitude a lot in my life. I write down 10 things I'm grateful for every day. I think it just makes a huge, huge difference. And just going back for a second, because I want to say something about the fact that you said before that you love your daughter's soul. So I tell my husband all the time that my soul loves his soul so much.
Oh,
And that reminded me when you said that because and it's true when I'm with him, it's just like we have such a soul connection. It's not just the physical connection, it's our souls really love each other, because we're soulmates, right? So our souls are
yes.
so connected. And I love to see people on a soul level because it is so much deep than just on the surface.
Yeah, it is. And I tell people, and this is the truth, is anything that we send out comes back to us.
Mhm.
So when I think of my ex, I always send him love on a
Mhm.
soul level because everyone does deserve love. That's so important to extend, to feel, and to absorb love. But I know it comes back to me. But I send him that because he does not love himself. So that's one of the reasons I do send it to him. And so when you can step into a higher vibration, knowledge comes with it. And knowledge such as everybody needs to feel love. I think that's one of the most basic needs we have is love.
Mm. I love that you said that because I always say whatever you put out comes back to you. The world is round, energy moves in a round circle. So put hearts everywhere. Always put out hearts because all the hearts you put out come back to you. So I try to always do the same, always give people love and hearts because I realize the energy that love has and how I want more of that in my own life as well. Plus, we all deserve love. So why wouldn't I want to, if I want love, why wouldn't I want to give it to someone else as well?
And that's probably the simplest way to put it. You want love, so therefore you give it.
Mhm. Yeah, it's everything's connected. When we realize that even our obstacles in life are because we're doing something inauthentically in our life. Like everything is connected. Like literally, when I do something that's not aligned with who I am, I literally will get an immediate now. These days, it's like an immediate karma back. And like, hey, you weren't supposed to do that. It's amazing how energy works. Like it really is. Like you're not cheating anybody but yourself. Like just always do the right thing. It doesn't matter if anybody's watching. What matters is that you're doing the best you know at the time. And that's
Yes.
what to be present to every day for me.
And things are happening much faster. Time is going faster. If there is a payback, it's coming faster, and it's almost instant anymore. It's really interesting to watch what's going on in our universe and on our earth. It's a wonderful time to be alive.
Yeah, and this earth needs so much gratitude and love. So we need to, God, we have to give each other as much love as we can to heal this planet too. And this world needs love and compassion.
It does. It absolutely does. And I try to do my best, even if I just see I live across the street from the beach, and there's so much abuse on a beach, like during the summer when the vacationers come, and I am forever cleaning up so much stuff. And it's like, I guess I don't understand why they do that, because if we didn't have our earth, we would have nothing. We wouldn't be here.
Yeah, and you know what? Yeah, absolutely, 100%. We have to take care of our planet and the impact we have on the planet just when we're not doing things the way we should, right? But when I just said that, right, that the world needs more love and compassion, but really, let's bring it all together. The world needs more forgiveness. If we forgave each other, we would heal the world. We would heal ourselves. We would make so forgiveness is the thing that's missing in the world to create healing for everyone.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I can't even watch TV anymore because it keeps us so divided. So, I choose to spend my time, whether it's meditating and sending out love or sending out forgiveness to anybody that wants to take it. That's what I do. That's what I do. And forgiveness, in my opinion, is the key to everything. It's the key to love, to self-love, to helping others, just if you start with forgiveness, like you said, you are going to heal the world.
I love that. I love that. Great way to end this on. So, how can people, Nicole, connect with you, find you, work with you?
I made it really, really simple. I did everything in my name because I thought, okay, at least I'll remember it. So I can be contacted by Nicole Harvick at gmail.com. I am on LinkedIn. I am on Facebook. I am on TikTok, and I am on Instagram under Nicole Harvick. So, and even my website is NicoleHarvick.com.
Oh, I love that. That is so great. And you work with people on forgiveness? Do you coach them?
I coach forgiveness. I do quantum energy healing. I do like to start with forgiveness if possible. But if someone just knows that they have things in there that they have to release, because you can tell when you're hurting, when you're sad, when you're getting sick, that you do have traumas in you. So I will start with that if we have to. But there is a 4-step process to what I teach and what I work. I work with forgiveness, then we work with healing the trauma, then we work with raising your vibration, and then we work with stepping into a fifth dimensional existence.
I love that. I love that you keep yourself so surrounded by those things that are really important to you so you don't get distracted by things that are not as well.
Yeah, I am very focused now. I it's interesting when you do practice forgiveness and self-love, your awareness expands as well when you raise your vibration. And so when you see things through your real eyes, when you realize what's going on, certain things just don't seem right, you can see it differently. You can step back from it, observe it, and decide if that works for you or not. And when I do get into that mode of stepping back, that's usually when I know this is not for me.
And then you cut it out, right? You eliminate it out of your life.
Yep. Just yeah, it's just like cutting a cord in your body.
Hmm.
You just take it out of your life, and the best thing to do it to get rid of it is take your attention away. Don't pay attention to it. It goes away.
I love that. I love that. Well, on that note, Nicole, it was so awesome having you today as my guest. And I'm so grateful we had this time together.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been a pleasure.
Awesome. I want to thank you for being with us on the World Healing Tour podcast today. Until next time, remember to have a grateful heart, to ground in love and compassion, and to know you are guided by God. You are not alone on this journey. Have a beautiful week, everyone. Namaste. Hi, Nicole.
Hey.